What's going on, Dan? Of course, you guys let me know if the audio is not working, I hope. So we'll give everybody a couple more minutes. Show up. I'm a little bit early, as usual. See, we got Daniel Turbay in here. He doesn't miss a beat. You guys all enjoying your weekend? Feels like Sunday to me. This whole weekend just been a little off. Definitely coming down with something. Had pretty much the chills all day, not feeling too good. And all of a sudden, my hearing completely went out in my right ear. I have no idea why. Like, I literally feel like I went deaf in one ear. And it's been like that pretty much all day long. So, of course, I'm scaring the shit out of myself with reading WebMD and everything else. So I'll be making a doctor appointment next week. Remember, if you guys haven't already done it, subscribe to Rdap Dan, guys. Subscribe to my channel. Let's keep it growing. Joe Dirt, there he is. Kundalini King, there he is. What's up, Kundalini? All right, getting some decent people in here. So yeah, we'll talk about a couple different things tonight, and like usual, whatever you guys want to discuss, we can always answer some Q&A. That's the beautiful thing about doing this live is we don't need a script. We can just kind of wing this thing, and this way everybody's answers get answered, or questions get answered. The grave robber's back. Daniel Turbay, you're a trip, brother. So let's kick it off with a couple questions. So let's ask you guys, like, what keeps you guys awake at night? You know, for those of you that are potentially looking at some time, what's the type of stuff that really keeps you guys awake? What part of the anxiety? What is it specifically that your mind gets stuck on that you feel like you can't shut the light off? Yeah, I know for me, there were so many questions and so many unanswered ideas that I just couldn't wrap my mind around. You know, how much time was I actually going to get? Was the judge going to all of a sudden change his mind? What was it going to be like when I got there? How are my kids going to deal with it? You know, and then you catch yourself looking around, you're like, man, I won't be able to watch my own TV, you know, and you're walking around outside and you're looking at trees and you're looking at the grass and you're like, God, these aren't going to be things I'm going to be able to do on a regular basis for a while. All of these things that I've taken for granted my entire life are just completely being ripped away from me. Kundalini King, not being able to get into Rdap, dying in prison, coming home to nothing. Kundalini, did we already determine, or are you under the impression that you cannot get into Rdap? I know we spoke a little bit, but I don't have the notes here in front of me. Or is that just a concern of yours that what if you don't get into Rdap? What's up, Jason? Jason Cano. Facebook, is that what you're going to miss when you're in federal prison? Is that what you're talking about? I think I'll be able to. Okay, good. You know, Rdap, getting into it, you know, it's relatively, if you qualify, you qualify. You know, there's no reason why you won't get into it if you qualify. They definitely want you in the program if you qualify. So what else is keeping you guys wide awake? Let me ask you guys another question. What type of, what are you guys doing right now that's like action-based? I know you guys are freaking out and your anxiety is overwhelming, but what are you actually doing to prepare? Like what steps have you taken? What are you doing on a daily basis? Like what's part of your routine? What are some of the things that you guys are doing? I'd love to talk a little bit about that because it seems like a lot of people struggle in that area from what I've been seeing. I know I struggled in that area, making an I statement. You learned about that in Rdap. You're going to make I statements. What's up, Johnny? Johnny, I'm trying to hire you. Good evening, Kimberly. Well, Johnny, you know, if you're trying to hire me, we can definitely make something happen for you. I've got something for everybody, and we're coming up with some actual. I like to call them treatment plans, even though they're not really treatment plans. They're actual like lesson plans on helping you guys coordinate through your mind and having yourself ask the right questions, and maybe even starting to assign you guys a little bit of homework that doesn't scare you off. But I think a lot of this stuff will, a lot of these ideas that I might have, and a lot of it came from Rdap itself. At least that's where the ideas respond from. So I've been doing some research the last couple of days on putting some stuff together for you guys, for those of you that specifically that end up becoming clients and really kind of digging in to help you deal with a lot of this maybe grief, a lot of this blame that you're feeling, where maybe you feel like this isn't fair, that you're getting, you know, you got picked on, or the feds, you know, took advantage of you. You know, we want to make sure that a lot of this is kind of isolated and you're really looking at the real cause of the issue. Hi, Sandy. So, victims. How many of you guys that are getting ready to go into prison right now have victims on your case? You can respond with I do or I don't. That would be helpful. So who's got victims, guys? Who's got victims out there? I hate the damn delay on this thing because it creates that pause while I'm waiting. Meanwhile, I will sip on my tea because I'm definitely not feeling well. Johnny Carrillo has no victims. Okay. Joe Dirt, I do. Kundalini King, I do. Okay, we're going to start with Johnny since Johnny answered first. I don't. Johnny, are you comfortable talking about your situation at all on here? On you know, what you got indicted with or what you're getting indicted with? I need you all to pay attention because this is actually leading somewhere. All right, so Johnny says yes, he will cooperate with us and he will tell us a little bit about his situation. So Johnny, let's start off. We know you don't have any, apparently you don't have any victims, but what was your crime, Johnny? What'd you do? Joe Dirt, in that case, so Joe Dirt does not have any victims. Well, Johnny, I wanna talk to the whole group about it. So I kind of we're gonna use you as an example, Johnny. About to blow your mind. My name is Michael. Shout out to you, Rdap Dan. The advice you give helps me get in the awesome plea. Thank you, sir. That King Listo Music Gaming. All right, Michael. I'm glad we could help you out there, buddy. That's the. Actually, I remember talking to you. I remember your picture. I never heard from you again, but I remember talking to you. Cultivation conspiracy. Okay. So Johnny's got and I do remember talking to you, Johnny. Now you just said that definitely triggered all the memories. So Johnny, and cultivating, I believe it was marijuana. Was it marijuana you were cultivating, Johnny? And as you're answering that, Johnny, let me ask you a question. Let's talk about who you have for support: family, wife, kids, mother, father, brother, sister. Um, Tell us a little bit how many. You don't need to go into specifics about them, but do you have kids? Do you have a wife? Do you have significant other? Do you have people that you care about? Do you have people that care about you? I commented on your last 5 chat. I was facing wife, no kids, godmother. I commented on your last live chat. I was facing 6.5 with a plea of 4 years. At the time, your advice was able to sign a plea for 1 to 2 years with a 2-year cap. Well, that's good, brother. I mean, prison time sucks no matter how much time you get, but I'm glad you could minimize it and putting that effort in, preparing, whether it was these videos that helped you or just doing your own homework. I'm glad that I could be a part of that. That gives me one more reason to make another video. All right, back to Johnny real quick. All right, so Johnny's got a wife, no kids, and he's got a godmother. So remember my first question was, who's got victims? And Johnny was the first one that says, I don't. Johnny, you need to identify what a victim is. You've got your wife who's going through this with you. You've got your godmother who's watching you go through this. I'm sure you've got friends that are watching you go through this. Believe it or not, these are your victims, guys. These are, when you talk about these, we have a lot of our clients do victim impact statements. And so I do have victims. My relationship. There you go, Joe Dirt. Correct. So guys, your family, your friends, these are your victims. A victim doesn't have to mean somebody that, had a loss, money, property. A victim is somebody that is suffering because of what you did. And you've got to really have a sympathetic ear to the stress this puts them under. One of my clients, actually, you guys, he was on here yesterday. And I was talking to him. He's actually self-surrendering, Surge. He's self-surrendering Monday. And, he's going through a lot right now, and he's trying to deal with it the best he can. But, his family is really upset and coming at him in different ways, and it's not trying to, come at him in a bad way, but this is really hard on them, and that frustrates him. But you've got to let these people have their moment. They're processing and grieving too. You guys are putting a lot of pressure on your family. And I know it's not intentionally, and I'm sure if you could go back and undo it, you wouldn't have made the decisions that you made. But you guys got to take a hard look at who the victims are here. I know it's hard to say, because right now we all want to feel sorry for ourselves. Like, oh, I'm going to prison, wah. We want, and I don't mean wah and like in that way, but I was there too, where I felt so sorry for myself that I forgot to pay attention to everybody around me and how hard this was on them and what they were going through. They don't know what to say to you. They don't know how to help you. Their hands are completely tied. These are huge victims. These are the people that you have to be putting extra care into right now and not freaking out when they can't do everything that you might need them to do. Just remember, when you're in prison, time for you stops. Johnny says, okay, I see now. And it's not, and I know you guys know these, that you're victims, but it's important that you identify it this way. Specifically for those of you that haven't already been sentenced, when you're going in front of that judge, when you're putting these letters together, your personal narratives and your character reference letters, it's important, it's a weird word to say slow, it's important to let the judge know that you've identified victims in your case outside of the typical scope of what everybody else normally sees a victim as, because it shows the judge that you're actually digging deep and you're not just surface levelly writing some bullshit letter that probably isn't real. It doesn't have any substance to it. A lot of these letters that are written initially, like when you guys start writing your letters, right? You're writing it from the point of mind of, I just want to try to get to the judge and persuade him somehow to lessen my sentence. The reason why, okay, guys, when you come to me and you say, hey, you know, I haven't been sentenced yet. I'm early on in my case. At what point should I hire you? When should we start? You know, even if your letters may not be necessary for 6, 7 months, 8 months down the road. The reason why we want to start on the letters now is because I'm not going to allow you to give me some bullshit letter and expect me to make some magical masterpiece out of it. Guys, we're going to dig deep, and you're going to, once you get into these letters and you realize that, hey, I'm not taking that one and I've rejected it and tell you to start over, that's when you start digging deep and you find some quiet time, and before you know it, you're into that thing. And you're talking about stuff in your letter that you probably haven't allowed yourself to process yet because you built this callus to try to get through this. You have to really open up these layers, peel the onion back to get down to the core of what caused you to make these decisions. And when you start identifying how your actions have affected so many other people, that ripple effect is real. It is real, guys, 100%. There is a reaction to everything that you guys do, especially going forward. Now you're going to be labeled, and when you get out of prison, people might be expecting you, oh, when's he going to mess up again? You know, and there's people out there that are just that type of way. They want to see people do bad. So you're going to have to work extra hard, and nothing's owed to you. Just because you went to prison doesn't mean anything's owed to you. You got to earn everything that you want. Nothing is going to come easy, especially after this. You got to have that expectation, or else you're setting yourself up for failure. It's real important to have goals, guys. You got to have goals, but short-term goals in order to reach those long-term goals. You can't just decide that you're going to get out and, you know, you're going to all of a sudden be back at the top of the world. There's going to be a ladder. You're going to have to crawl up it. You know, there's no easy way to the top. There's no elevator in life. You got to take the stairs. I read that somewhere. I can't take claim for that. But yeah, guys, so you're victims, you know, keep them, you know, if you're not, if you know, you guys should have pen and paper when we chat, because sometimes there might be some useful stuff just to make a mental note of. So it's like, fuck, I do have victims. Let me make a note of that, because when I'm doing my letters, that's a really good point to touch on for those of you that don't have financial crimes. And even those of you that have financial crimes, you identify your financial victims, but you're also going to identify your friends and family, specifically how this has affected them. You know, don't just say my bad choices have affected my friends and family. What does that mean? What does that look like? What choices, how did it affect them? Give an example of that. My deal is 60 months, but after everything, I get off 32 months. Can I get less from the judge with the character? Yeah, of course. Johnny, if you don't have a minimum, man, that judge, you can definitely get less, you know, just because you got a plea and you haven't been sentenced yet, right? I heard that, Dan. Thank you, Kimberly. So Johnny, yes, just to clarify, so you guys understand, if you're taking a plea, you know, let's say it's, you know, but if there's no minimum mandatory or anything like that, let's say your plea is, you know, whatever it is, you're going to sign a plea for 60 months. The judge has the ability to go up or down. Your plea is just provisional. It's a recommendation. It's giving him guidelines to recommend on where he sentences you. But he's got the ability to go up or down from there based on several different deciding factors. And, you know, sometimes you can put all the effort in the world in and nothing matters. But if you don't try, there's always going to be that thought of what if. So take that advice, Johnny. You were going to send me info on your service, remember, but I haven't got it. Johnny, I apologize. I'm not sure how that happened. But if you text me your email address, actually, if you want to text it to me during this video, I'll make sure I get it to you tonight. 509-434-4695. For those of you that don't know, here, let's go ahead and just text me. 509-434-4695. There you go. I mean, I'll make sure I get that out to you. My plea doesn't have any time in it. It was a charge. Yeah, right. Okay. I remember you saying something about that, Kundalini, that your plea is still it's like an open plea, basically. I think you were telling me. Sandy, very important that you do not blame anyone else for your crime or your actions. Taking responsibility is an important factor in sentencing. Correct. And embellish on that when you're talking about it. You know, don't just say you take responsibility for what you did. I take responsibility for whatever the crime was. Say it, because saying it makes it real. Just saying my crime, that's kind of like you're not admitting to yourself. You just rip open that scab, ripping open that onion, whatever you want to call it, and just tear it apart. Well, 5 is my minimum. So you do have a minimum, Johnny. You have a mandatory. Wait, Johnny, didn't you have the you got the, wasn't there two counts on there, and you were hoping that they would reduce one of them to, I think it was like count 2, where where it didn't carry a mandatory minimum? Am I thinking, was that our conversation? I apologize. Getting over cold, not feeling well. So, and believe it or not, I've actually got like 3 Johnnies. I've got a couple of Michaels. I got a John, a Johnny. There's a Jonathan. So, but I have notes. I actually keep you guys in files right down here, just like this. This is where all the magic happens. Everything happens here. The YouTube channel, the files. The only thing that doesn't happen here is the writing. They should only get 1 charge. 19 points, but my sentence is from 0 to 20. Well, right, but that's 0 to 20. Yeah, doesn't that just sound scary when they say that? 0 to 20. It's like, that's a fucking huge range. 0 to 20. You can either get probation or we could give you 20 years. So make sure you cooperate. I imagine you're not going to get the 20, and I imagine you're not going to get 0. You know, so you really have to. I mean, for you specifically, putting those letters into play, making sure that that you're going over every single area that can possibly assist in the creating that, leaving no stone unturned. You're taking care of your letters, you're being positive, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing out on pretrial. You know, action-based. Actions speak louder than words. So if your words during your sentencing and your letters, if those words that you're stating at that time have actions that you've been doing from now till then that can substantiate what is being said, it means so much more. You know, you want your audio to be matching your video, guys. You don't, you know, it's great to talk about all of these great things that you want to do and how you're going to change, but people need to see that. And once they start seeing it, that's when they start believing it. Seeing is believing. How many corny puns can we come up with tonight? Oh, Shelly Morford's on. Guys, this is my girlfriend, Shelly Morford. She actually went and did her time in the camp. So she's probably sitting in the kitchen right now because she doesn't want to come on camera. So that's funny. Hi, Shelly. Thank you for the tea, babe. So you guys got any questions for the females on what's it like in a female camp? What's it like for women? What's the difference between women prisons and men's prisons? You know I had a lot of crazy questions for Shelly when I was in federal prison. I'm like, man, is it like what you see on TV? Do the guards hit on you guys? Because, you know, there's a lot of really attractive women that go to prison. And you've got male guards who at the end of the day take off their badge and everything else. They're a guy, right? So you got to wonder what goes on behind prison doors in the camp. So yeah, Shelly, you might be on the spot on that one. So you might have to answer that for them if anybody has a question. I plead guilty Tuesday, and I will be doing my PSI right after court. I need some prep ASAP. Well, Kundalini, you are burning the candle at both ends, my man. We need to get something going on you real soon if you're taking your plea Tuesday to make sure you're completely prepared for that PSR. We've got a whole little prep course that we can do to make sure you're ready for it. So that's up to you, bud. I'll gladly be your guy, your consultant. Are the male guards like flirty? Oh, you got some questions, Shelly. You better still be on here. You better not have left. Kimberly's watching me on a 75-inch. I apologize if my forehead's oily. I'm like super oily. I don't know why. Kundalini King. Absolutely will, my man. That's what I'm here for. That's what Rdap Dan Community's method. People helping people. No, most are power trip, but for the most part, they're kind and real people. That you'll need help inside for your Joe Dirt. What was that, Joe? Just be, oh man, I missed it. So many. Let me see what Joe said up here. Joe said, just be honest and tell them you are addicted, not use. That you need help inside. You can tell them you're addicted. You can tell them you use. I mean, you know, whatever. You don't need to lie is the bottom line. You know, if you had substance abuse issues, if drinking, if it was smoking, if it was pills, steroids, you just can't say that you did it once in a blue moon. You know, if you had issues with it, then you make sure that you bring it up. Don't leave anything out. That's where a lot of people get kind of screwed up, is they think it's going to hurt them and cause more damage. I've had a lot of clients come to me after the fact. And a lot of clients have actually gotten this information from their attorneys. Their attorney's like, yeah, I don't bring up the weed. They don't put people in the Rdap for just weed. You have to be like a heroin addict to get into Rdap. And that's really bad advice from an attorney, because it's not true. You know, the attorney's speaking on something that he's clueless about, clearly, if your attorney is telling you to not bring up information like that. You don't look oily, Dan. You look fine. I'm just trying it out. All right, that's cool. Thank you, Kimberly. That's what I was trying to say. Gotcha, Joe. Yeah, you want to be honest, bud. You want to, you know, you don't want to lie. If you don't have substance abuse issues and they didn't exist and you weren't using anything on a regular basis, I don't recommend lying either, because it's definitely going to come up through Rdap. You know, you're going to be talking about it. You're going to have to tell them like instances, you know, bring up a time where you were using on a regular basis, and you basically got to go into backstory. So, and they will smell out somebody that's just kind of like making stuff up as they go, because they make notes and they'll check back a month later and they might ask you the same question in a different tactic. And if your answers don't match up, they start questioning, and before you know it, you're removed out of the program, and it's a big waste. So just be honest. Honesty is the best policy. Honesty is the foundation of change. He is going Monday. I must have missed something, Miss Dutchy. What did I miss up there? Miss Dutchy. He's going Monday. Who's going Monday, Miss Dutchy? What are some questions they ask other than substance abuse? PSR, they kind of go through your whole, like your parents, you know, you should have your letters. You should have your letters, your character, your personal narrative, and your character reference letters ready for the PSR interview, to try to get them to admit that into the PSR so it becomes part of your file. That's a huge thing. But the questions they're going to ask, Serge, yes, Serge goes Monday. Correct. You know, I was just talking to him a little bit today, text messaging, just checking on him, see how he's doing. And he's honestly, he's just anxious just to get it started, get there, get into a routine, you know, which is the right attitude to have. You know, you just want to get it in, get started. But hey, if you self-surrender, do you go to less than a medium? I mean, no. If you self-surrender, whatever you're classified as, Johnny. If you're classified as a low, you're going to self-surrender to the low. If you're classified to a camp, you're gonna self-surrender to a camp. If you're classified to a medium, you'll self-surrender to a medium. Is that the question you're asking? Is where you're going to self-surrender? And Joe, sorry about the PSR. They're going to ask you stuff like, you know, where's your family from? They might ask you, what else did they ask you? It was so long ago, and it all happened so fast. They want how much money you have in the bank accounts, net worth, things like that. And a lot of these answers they already know because it's in your file. Like they know a lot of this stuff. A lot of it's just to verify and see how forthcoming you are. But the more, the better that goes into that PSR. Like try not to rush through it, because later on down the road, if you're cooperating and your lawyer may be asking for downward departure or whatever, and if prosecution, they might ask if prosecution is going to have a problem with them asking for that, and the prosecutor might want to look into your PSR just to kind of get a feel for who you are, what type of person you are. And if the PSR is kind of empty and there's not a lot of substance in there, and usually there's not a lot of substance, that's why I always stress to try to get at least get your personal narrative embedded into that PSR, make it a part of the permanent file, because that goes a long way for especially situations like that, because now everybody's looking at it. Anybody that wants to know something about you can actually find out more about who you are, the type of person you are, more than just this guy that committed some stupid crimes. By your points and criminal background and how violent you are, how do they designate you? Okay, that's the answer. Joe was just, yeah, there's a lot of variations in how they designate you. They designate you based on type of crime you committed, if it was a violent crime, non-violent crime, your base level, your criminal history level. Do you know any of that stuff? I imagine you do, right? Does anyone have an update on the Todd Hansen guy? What kind of update are you looking for, Edward? I can actually tell Todd to jump on. I meant to. My bad. I forgot to send Todd to come see us. So I will do so right now. Knowing Todd, he's on home confinement, so he will probably come jump into the room. So let's pop up the video here. Then maybe we'll get Todd to join us. Todd's always got a lot of good questions too. So, and I know Todd loves getting the support from you guys. So when you guys were committing these crimes, where was your frame of mind at? Like, what was, if you had to say, like right now, if you were like, somebody asked you, like, why did you do what you did? What would your answer be? Like, why did you guys do it? To me, that's a good question. So why did you commit your crimes? Specifically when you knew it was a crime, why did you keep committing it? And I'm just shooting Todd a quick email here, guys, see if he wants to come on and join us. Should have did this earlier. Lack of preparation. See where it got me? Got me sitting there staring at my computer instead of talking to you guys. All right. And do live. All right, guys, it's been sent. So, all right. No questions about what for your PSI? RIME. Kundalini King was chasing money. Well, my crime was tricky, honestly. Money and addiction for Sandy Glenn. Chasing money, so that's a big one. So how are you going to deal with that when you get out? What's your plan? Like, how are you going to fight that urge? What's going to be your triggers? I was trying to take my daughter to SeaWorld and fix my girl's car. So Joe Dirt, you were doing your crimes to take your daughter to SeaWorld. you were committing your crimes to fix your girl's car. How many of you guys, how many of your family members, like how many of them knew on the crimes you were committing when you were doing the crime? Like how many of them knew there was something shady going on, something fishy, you know? Or did you guys, I mean, clearly, you know, they didn't think you were completely legit, did they? Or, you know, were they really naive to what was going on, or they have some kind of an idea? Drugs made you do it. Guys, there's different levels of addicts. You have what's called, if I can remember this, is a little Rdap terminology for you guys. You've got your primary addicts. You've got your primary like criminal. So you've got some people that will commit crimes. Example, like you're a drug addict, so you'll go commit a crime basically because you were under an influence, you were high. And if you weren't on drugs, you may not have committed that crime. Or you got other guys that will commit crimes regardless whether they're using drugs or not, because there's another, maybe it's money, power, seeking to be accepted. That's a much harder one to kick. That's a primary criminal. So somebody that is committing crimes because they're under an influence or they're on drugs and that was the purpose they were doing it, they actually have a higher probability of not doing it again as long as they can keep their addiction under control. So you have to be able to identify these triggers, like, you know, seeing other people. Everyone thinks, oh, you know, I can be around it and I'm just fine, but you shouldn't. Why be around it? You know, there's no need for it. You're going to learn about a lot of this stuff when you're going through this, especially when you get in, if you do get into Rdap. Rdap is amazing for identifying these thought patterns and how so many things play a role in what you're going to do with your choices and decisions. There really are patterns. I was selling guns, private sale, which isn't illegal in my state, but I was up to undercover ATF agent, which made it a federal offense in my state. There is no law against private. So saying what you just said, if you were to sum it up, what law did you break? Like, where is the gray area that you knew you were in at some point? Joe Dirt, one crime. Functioning addict. Got set up. One time hit to get high. Rdap Dan, when should I be expecting to hear back from someone in regards to the email I sent in? I also joined your website and sent a message explaining my needs for your service. When should I be expecting to hear back from someone in regards to the email I sent in? What email did you send in, Leah Ivy? What email are you referring to? But back to what I was saying, guys, is how many of your friends and family kind of knew a little bit about what was going on, whether it be your wife, whether it be your parents, whether it be, you know, anybody that's close relation to you? How many of them knew what was happening? I just got another listener for you, Dan. Thank you, Kimberly. Who's the listener you brought, Kimberly? I'd send you a shit ton of money if I wasn't a student. It's okay, buddy. I appreciate the thought, though. Edward, that's funny. You know, you guys, you all do what you can do. It's people helping people. You know, that's all it is. Coming into these groups and these communities. Kimberly Gray. Who's Gray? I don't see anybody in here named Gray. Is there somebody here named Gray? Or did I miss it? Sandy Glenn, my family knew, but they chose to turn a blind eye. You know, and that's real important to identify that, Sandy, you know, because what you're identifying is enablers. Specifically, when, let's say, you know, your crime is you're committing and you're making money off of this, and they're taking part in the things that you're putting your neck out on the line for, whatever crime you're breaking, and they're benefiting from it. These are people that have the ability to enable you and not hold you accountable for your actions. So you're going to come to a point, especially if you go into Rdap, where you're really going to focus on what's considered a healthy relationship. By all intents and purposes, what you just said, Sandy, friends, family, kids, if they're not going to hold you accountable, that is not a healthy relationship. Not to say that it's their job for you to do the right thing, but if, like, let's say you and I are friends, if I care about you and I see you coming around doing that, it's up to me to tell you to say, hey, look, you can't come, I can't be around you if this is the way that you're going to live your life. Because clearly we all see how conspiracies can get popped up real quick. Your friends and family can very easily get wrapped up into a conspiracy. But the fact is they're probably taking part of the money, blood money, whatever you want to call it, crime money. And it just perpetuates this whole nasty existence of how this revolving door that everybody talks about on recidivism is so ridiculously, people are right back into prison. It's not just because you want to go back out and commit crimes, but you guys have built habits. You got used to a certain lifestyle. I've heard a lot of you say you're chasing money. And if these are the things that you have that you've been battling with, what's going to happen when no one's looking anymore? Are you going to do the right thing when no one's looking? It's easy to do the right thing when you're under a fucking microscope and you got the feds on your ass and you got probation on your ass and you're trying to do you're trying to look really good for court. You show up in your shirt and tie and maybe you never wear a shirt and tie. But now all of a sudden you're putting on this dog and pony show. How do you make that become a habit? What do you have to do? You got to be willing to not lie to yourself and not live in a fantasy. No more fantasy land. Life is not a soap opera. You cannot fake 24/7. So you got to tell your friends and family, hey, you see me fucking up, you hold me accountable. You see me come home high, pick up the phone and call the police on me. Kick me in the ass, kick me out of the house. Don't allow me. I have all my clients write letters. One of the letters that they write is a letter to themselves. So I'll use me example. Right when I got into prison is when I started doing this. Write letters to future Dan. Because here's what happens. Once you get through all of this, you get out of prison, it's real easy to forget. If anybody in this room has been in prison before, they probably have already forgotten everybody's name. They forgot, like, things you thought you would never forget in the moment in prison, you forget it all when you get out. It's gone, which means you also forget what it feels like and how bad that felt. What it felt like the day the feds came in, what it felt like the day you knew this shit was real and you might go to prison. You'll forget about all of that because you'll get into your new routine in the future when you're out of prison, and you might not intend to do anything wrong, but there might be that one time when you're like, yeah, I can go have that one drink, or, I can go take one hit, or I can go take that one bump of cocaine, or, I'm out of town, I'm with friends, I haven't done heroin in years, I'm going to do a little bit, no big deal. And you do it once, and then you might not do it again for a while, and then you do it again, and before you know it, you feel like you can do it all the time because you're not getting caught until it catches up with you, and boom, next thing you know, you're right back in the shit, and you're going, oh, and you're upset at yourself, and you're going through this victim role again. You have to identify what your triggers are. It's simple. If you know drugs are bad for you, you can't do any drugs. If heroin was your issue, or cocaine, you can't even do little things like weed. You should stay away from drinking. You should stay away from marijuana. You should stay away from anything that could potentially cause you to lose control of your thoughts long enough to make these poor decisions. So you have to be in control. You got to be the one driving the car. You can't ever quit. And it's a battle. It's a struggle. The struggle is real. Thanks, Dirt. Kundalini King, due to my bank fraud. Remember us, Dan, when you're a big-time prison consultant getting interviewed. Man, that's the thing. I write down everything. I keep notes on everything I do. One day we'll go through it. It's just so much. I wrote a letter every single day I was in prison. And there's Todd Hansen. Todd, I'm glad you joined us. I forgot to send you a message. We actually had people asking about you, how you were doing. So guys, if you want to talk to Todd, he's in the room. Todd's going to need his own YouTube channel because we're going to have to make sure I've already spoken to you about this, Todd, getting letters and, weekly updates from you that we can communicate to the community, because clearly there's a lot of people that are going to be wanting to watch your progress in there, buddy. So I'm sure you guys are all going to want to get Todd's information. You can mail him, email him. God, he would probably love to get letters from you guys. Todd's a little bit of an attention hog, but that's a good thing, Todd, because you're doing good with it. Todd, what I've seen your progress, Todd, is I've seen that you've taken something that is internally there, like you like to be in control, you like to be in the limelight. So now you're finding a good spotlight to be in, because you're a potential role model for a lot of these people that are going through it. And I know it's a horrible term, role model, guy going to prison, but you have no problem putting it all out there for somebody to know exactly what you could have done differently, and you articulate it very, very well. So to you, Todd. So we'll make sure that we completely stay in contact when you're in, which I do with all my clients anyway, but I would really like to continue your journey if you want to do so, Todd, with the people that are watching, because they're all gonna, inquisitive minds want to know. So what were we just talking about? We were talking about, thanks, Dan, trying to have others learn. Yep, there you go, bud. You got it. What's up, Alex? We got Alex Rodriguez in the room. And what's your picture? A rooster? Okay. I'm not, so what, why a rooster, Alex? Like, what's the, is it, you raise chickens? Just curious why your mugshot, not your mugshot, your icon. Why is your icon a rooster? Somebody commented, and they must have removed it, because I'll never remove a comment. I leave every comment. Somebody commented that my show sucks and After Prison show is way better. I can't necessarily disagree. I mean, I don't think my show sucks, and After Prison show is amazing. So I can't disagree that After Prison show is not amazing. But man, why do people want to throw rocks? It's like little chatting gangsters where they come online and they get all thuggy with their chats, and obviously you don't know who they are, but I just thought it was kind of funny. They're sending me to the medium at Herlong. Todd, when did you find that out? So I know that's been kind of a question for you there for a while. And mediums aren't bad, guys. Look, mediums are a little bit more political, a little bit of this goes on, but look, just like guys at the low don't want to fuck up and get punched up to the medium, guys at the medium don't want to get punched up to the pens. So don't stress out too much if you're going to a medium. I'm sure the prison is the same as any other, Todd. The county is the most depressed job. Yeah, I know Todd was freaking out about county. He still is a little bit, because he doesn't know what's going to happen at sentencing. High probability that his judge may remand at sentencing. He's got a judge, and the judge's nickname is Hang 'em High Hurley. So I'm all in for a pen pal. Yeah, you're definitely not gonna be going without Todd in prison as far as communication goes. We were talking about that earlier, guys. We were talking about communication. So remember what I was saying about your friends and family, and really cut them some slack, especially because we've all agreed now that we can identify friends and family that are going through this with us as victims. They're people that are experiencing a hardship along with us, right? So you got to remember, when you're in prison, you may email them, you may call them, you may write them, and they may not get back to you right away. They may at first, the first couple of weeks, the first couple of months, you may get some pretty quick responses. And there's always going to be that one or two people that responds quickly no matter what, because you're always on their mind. But a lot of other people that you might think are going to always be there and respond, they might start slowing down and falling off just a little. And it's not because they don't care or they're being inconsiderate. It's called life. life does not stop for them, but it does stop for you. So everything to you becomes a massive fire. You want to know something, you email, hey, can you guys check this out for me? I need to find out, something about my driver's license. Can you check into this? And like, yeah, we'll check into it for you. In between work, feeding the kids, doing laundry, taking care of my bills, in between all of that, we'll take care of your stuff when we can get to it. So it's not always going to be a priority to them. And you've got to come to terms with that, because it can get frustrating. You'll catch yourself wanting to get an email and go, hey, why aren't you responding? I told you this is important. I've seen so many people really push family and friends away to the point where family and friends no longer wanted to answer the phone because they knew either A, the inmate was going to ask for more money on their books. They were going to ask them to go, trek across town and do all of these errands for them because they needed shit done, stuff that maybe they could have done before they went in. They could have better prepared. So this is what our preparation course is all about. It's how to not just prepare for you to make your journey easier, how to prepare for everybody else that's going along this ride with you. What can we do for you to help them make it a little less of a burden? Because you're a burden right now. You're a burden for so many people. You're a burden for your family. You're a burden for your kids. Those of you that have kids, this is a burden on them. This is a giant mindfuck of, my dad or mom is getting ready to go to prison. How do I process this? So you guys, including myself, created this mess that we're all in to some extent. Maybe some of us got a little bit railroaded here or there, but we all played a part. I've got plenty of friends, and you guys have heard me say this before, and my DTS used to say it. We've got plenty of friends. For those of us that don't live in an environment surrounding of crime, we've got plenty of friends that have never been in trouble, never been arrested, never been to a police station, probably couldn't tell you where the police station is. So we went somewhere different. We were chasing something. We were chasing power. We were chasing money. We were chasing drugs. We had crutches. We had issues. We were pathological liars. We were manipulators. We wanted to live in the world with the big dogs, but maybe we weren't really willing to put in the hard work that somebody else put in to get what they got, but we still wanted it because we felt we were entitled. That sense of entitlement can be the death of all of us, because we all feel like we should deserve something. I deserve to get, just because you're putting in effort doesn't mean that you necessarily deserve it in the time frame that you want it. So baby steps, realistic goals, one day at a time. Let's see, Todd. One of the worst mistakes I made was spending months attempting to justify my actions instead of owning up to them. 17 and a half years, March 23rd. Todd, what's March 23rd is your sentence? Your sentencing day? Where is your federal court if you live in Tahoe? Hopefully, yeah, Todd's case was out of South Florida, guys. So he's in the Southern District of Florida is where his case is out of. Yes, Edward, sentenced out of Florida. Sunny Palm Beach, Florida. Never looked at South Florida again the same. I was sentenced out of the Southern District of Georgia, the Bible Belt. I just texted you, Dan. Did you see it? I'm checking now. Checking now, Johnny. Oh, I got it. I apologize. You know what? You did text me the other day. Hey, Dan, haven't received your email yet. You were going to send. My bad. I will definitely make sure that all goes out to you. That all goes out to you tonight. And if you want, I'll give you a call tomorrow too, so we can chat a little bit. If Sunday's okay. It feels like Sunday for me, but man, guys, what a journey! What a journey! This is awesome. Just talking to you guys. You know, I was in an Uber car last night, and I tell everybody what I do. People are like, "Oh," because they're like, "Oh, how do you like Washington or whatever?" And I'm like, "Man, I'm still not used to all the snow and everything. I'm from Florida." Well, what brought you to Washington? I'm like, "Oh, well, federal prison." That's how I always started up, and kind of like get a little stare. And I like talking about it because it's really who I am. I don't like, me and my girlfriend was talking about this. I don't like BS conversation or small talk or, just talking to talk. If I'm going to have a conversation with somebody, it's going to be about, something that's worth talking about. And to me, there's a lot of other things other than federal prison to talk about. But what better way to spark up a conversation for a 10-minute car ride without awkward silence? Because then there's a million questions and I can just ramble off answers for 10 minutes and then I'm getting out of the car and they're like, wow, this was a really interesting ride. Thank you. So I'm always, so I like to talk about what I do, where I came from. It's a daily reminder. I love talking to you guys when you call. As you can see, sometimes I get a little busy and maybe I don't make the message properly and I don't track it down properly. But that's all changing too. Shelly's going to be hopefully joining my team here soon, and she's going to make sure that no message goes unaccounted for. No text message gets missed. So I'm looking forward to some help from Shelly. I don't know if she's still in the room or not. She might have bailed on us. Baylor should have watched the whole video. How am I supposed to get them to support if I can't even get you to support? I'm just kidding. I got really helps Leah to talk to somebody. That's it. I cried every day straight for 2 years. Ken, my email is Sawyer's. Your friend is his friend. Just reading, guys, catching up. So, yeah, just your loved ones, really, really, really let them know that you appreciate and you understand that this isn't easy for them. It's huge to like flip that because they're thinking they're supposed to be so supportive and so emotional for you. You're the one that messed up. Give them some support. They didn't do anything wrong. Their life got through into turmoil just for knowing you. So give them a high five for sticking through it. What are some of your biggest fears right now? What's like the biggest fear that you guys are carrying? What are you afraid of the most? It doesn't have to be, necessarily going to prison. Obviously, that's a fear. But what's that fear that's like burning inside of you that just really rips you apart? Dan, tell them about the weekly update letters that really ended up helping me. Yeah, Todd's got some awesome. He does like a weekly report that it's like a breakdown. It's hard to explain, but it's like a breakdown that everything he does. It goes into a report that he sends to probation. Basically, anybody that's watching what Todd does, he creates a document of community service that he's doing, any outreaching that he's doing, any volunteering that he's doing. He puts a nice report together every week, formatted beautifully, and he sends this off to probation. And this helped Todd because Todd was on he was on an ankle monitor where he couldn't leave his house. He couldn't go anywhere. And now I think you told me, Todd, that the ankle monitor is off, and you've proven yourself to not have to be on such a short leash, and you can travel a little bit now. You can kind of go in and out of town. Todd lives kind of in a secluded area. So by him putting all this work and effort into it and taking this shit real serious, there's been a lot of benefits for him. Probation loves him. And I'm sure if probation could go in and say, hey, Your Honor, you don't need to sentence this guy to such an intense sentence. Unfortunately, probation can't say that, or else I can guarantee you right now that Ken Goldberg, who is his probation officer, would definitely speak volumes about Todd, no question. John L. Just enjoy watching your videos. Informative. Thanks, John L. I appreciate it, my man. No ankle monitor. Parole officer, super cool to me. Yeah, and that's just it, guys. Look, you hear horror stories of, oh, my probation officer is such a dick. He won't do anything. He's always messing with me. It's like, but why? You know, I heard crazy horror stories about my probation officer before I had him, and I haven't had a issue with him. But I'll tell you what, he never, here's the thing, your probation officer doesn't ever want to hear something from somebody else. He wants to hear it from you. If you have any, if you have any interaction with law enforcement, you know, something goes wrong in your day, you miss a day at work, anything, call your probation officer, hey, just in case. I don't know if you need to know this or not, but ABC, let them know what's going on. I tell them about my Rdap thing. I let them know that, hey, I'm making money on this, that, you know, YouTube gives me a little bit of money for having monetized videos, and people that watch my videos hire me for my service. You know, not that I don't know that he has to know these kind of things, but I don't want it to be in the dark at all. This way, there's never a reason for him to wonder if I'm hiding anything. Yeah, I'm like a big open book. In certain cases, more is better. And definitely with your probation officer, tell him everything you're doing. And if there's something that you don't think you should tell him, you probably shouldn't be doing it. But my dog died too, young. He was 9. So are you expecting that or more? Just the 17 and a half. Just the 17 and a half. He's only expecting 17 and a half. Todd, you say that so like, oh, I'm only expecting, you know, a year, 24 months. Great spirits. What was his name? My dog died while I was in prison. It was very sad. She died like 2 weeks before I got home. Kiki, my little blind chihuahua. It's heartbreaking. And my ferret died. And my ferret's name was actually Ferret. So Ferret and Kiki died. And those are the types of things that, you know, you have to prepare for going to federal prison, especially for a lengthy time, like Todd. You have to imagine, you know, family, animals, things like this. These are things that you're going to miss out on. Passing of family members. I saw so many people in prison, mothers die, children, and it's not like what you think. You don't get furloughs. I mean, it's not that you can't get them, but they are not approved very often at all for death in the families for you to go to a funeral. Very rare. Maybe if it's like real close and it's not going to cost the U.S. Marshals any money to take you there. But if you live a distance away from whatever's happening, or it's in another state, you can probably count on not being able to furlough to any type of services, funerals, wakes, anything like that. Todd, they took the ankle monitor while you were on pretrial services. Todd, you make me realize my high of 6 years is not the end of the world. That's why I like having Todd in this room, guys. That's exactly the effect that I know Todd is looking for, is to break that reality down, that it could be so much worse than what it is. And the fact that most of you, including Todd, is going to have life after this. You go, oh, Shelly's still here? Did I miss her? Huh. I'm still a kid, 19, Kimberly. It's just new and weird to me. I lost my grandfather when I was young. This feels different. Again, you guys are having some amazing conversations. You know, I'm catching myself getting involved in your conversations instead of talking to you guys. Oh, don't forget, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to Rdap. Keep this community growing. And don't worry, those of you that don't want to watch my channel, it's okay. But again, if you haven't checked out After Prison Show with Joe, and you guys, when you get bored from here, maybe you want to stay on YouTube, check out some other really cool videos. Of course, I hope you stay and watch all of mine, but if you're going to leave my channel, head over to After Prison Show. This guy's awesome videos, awesome content, and it's unique. I definitely enjoy his channel quite a bit. Well, I wish you could talk to my husband about that dam because he thinks everybody else's fault except for his. Well, Kimberly, if your husband is under that type of thinking, he's probably not ready to change. You know, in order to change, you have to dig deep, and you got to identify, you know, what it is that you're doing. You know, this pattern that doesn't break. You know, you keep doing the same thing over and over again, and if you expect a different outcome, we all know what that is. That's the definition of insanity. So he may not be ready yet. So you have to decide if that's a healthy relationship for you. And it's one thing to support somebody emotionally, but if you're looking to, you know, keep the relationship and he's not doing anything to better himself, all you're doing is keeping yourself imprisoned, and you're not doing him any good, and you're not doing yourself any good. Because most of the conversations that I see with you, Kimberly, are very, you need to take a look at the situation that you're in, and you constantly go back and forth from seeming like feeling guilty about what you did, that you told on him, and then you at the same time you say, well, but he did what he did. So it sounds like you're kind of conflicting with yourself. So we all need to focus on ourselves and make sure that we are whole first, because you can't do anybody else any good if you can't control your own situation first. So maybe it's time for you to do a little bit of you time and let him do his time. And if it works out in the future, great. If not, you know what to stay away from. Yes, pets are like the babies. I love my dogs. I love my cats. So I've still got 2 dogs, and I still have 2 cats. Oliver and Einstein are my boys, and Kiki Man is my other cat, and then little Shiloh. Oh, the door's closed. That's why nobody's running around in here. What's the worst pen besides ADX, Atwater, Big Sandy? Coleman Pen 1 is pretty bad. That's actually, I know that's up on the list. Coleman's got 2 pens, but Pen 1 is no joke. They're shut down more than they're open. Murders there weekly. It's out of control. So we got anybody in the room that's their first time in the room that hasn't been here before, or has everybody pretty much been in the room before? My dog Elvis still loves me though. So you guys actually preparing? You got these PSRs, you understand what's coming, you understand what to do, you got a good concept on what you need to do for Rdap, getting through Rdap. It's similar to me, you're stuck on the merry-go-round after the criminal justice system going to find that is. Guys, I may cut this video a little short. I'm definitely feeling under the weather. How long have we been on here? A little over an hour, so I guess it's not too short. But I'm probably going to try to, I mean, obviously I do these videos sometimes every day, every other day, but definitely Saturdays, I'm going to plan on doing the videos Saturday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific time. That's 10 o'clock for the East Coast for you guys. but I'm going to try to keep them going so you guys can join these chats. And we've got some really cool content coming out here in the next couple of weeks that you guys will be able to take advantage of to help process this flow, identify some of these triggers, really get a better understanding for where your thinking could be improving on specifically while you're going through this. And that book behind me, Tony Robbins over there, Awaken the Giant Within. If you guys haven't already gotten that book, you can go on Amazon and you can get it for like $7 or something like that. I recommend you get it now, and then you have somebody send it to you while you're in prison, because it's a book that you're not just going to read once. It's a book that you can literally go to when you're having a rough day, because there's always something in that book that will just grab you and bring you back to reality where you're back into decision mode, making decisions, understanding your thought process, holding yourself accountable, doing the hard thing because it's the right thing. Talking to me, Johnny? Do I help people that are indigent? I do, Kundalini. We do have a program. We have a sponsorship program that I can send you a link for that. You fill out, there's a form you fill out, and we have sponsors that are willing to sponsor some of our clients. They usually will only sponsor a couple of people a month. I got to check and see. There may not be any left for this month, but maybe going into March. And if your income is like truly indigent, a lot of the time they will pick up either a portion or even all of the tab sometimes, depending on what the situation is. But you know, we try to find a way for everybody and anybody to get assistance, whether it's discounted, whether it's going to be free, whatever it is. If we can make it happen, we make it happen. But yeah, I am fading, guys. I literally do not feel good. I feel like a fever coming on. I think I'm going to go drink some more tea and crawl under the covers and turn on Netflix. That's the kind of night I'm going to have. Hope you guys are doing something more exciting with your Saturday night, but this was exciting for me. Even though I don't feel good, I'm still glad that I popped in, and we will do this probably again in a couple days, and then definitely next Saturday night. Thanks, Todd. Guys, remember, if you need anything, if you're interested in hiring me to help you, all you have to do is email me, text me, 509-434-4695. Email me, rdapdan@gmail.com. For those of you that I didn't respond right away, I apologize. And I will get that email back out to you tonight, because I forgot to send it to you. So I'll take care of that email for you tonight before I go fade out. So again, guys, I love you all. Community's method, people helping people. Rdap Dan is looking for, there it is. All right, guys, take it easy. Peace.